Roger Wallace and Noah Gross with you. Longhorns over Florida 49-17. Texas the heavy favorite. DJ Lagway, a lot of posturing this week, but he did not play with the hamstring injury. So we knew Florida was going to be limited offensively. What people were wondering, how would Texas be offensively? And they did in different ways, but 35 points in the first half and those last 21, kind of a backbreaker.
Yeah, I mean, right before the half, that was really efficient by Texas and kind of set this game into where you almost want to run the clock in the second half. But early on for Texas, the first couple possessions were not that great. On the first possession, Ewers had a swing pass with a couple short passes to Helm and everything, and they were moving, but they stalled near the goal line. Second drive, was that the fourth down, or was that later?
Yeah, they end up scoring.
Yes, but there were some struggles early for Ewers in Texas, but man, they really kicked it into high gear. But a theme for the Longhorns talking in the post game was the amount of players making the amount of explosive plays they did. To me, one of the biggest guys that stood out today was Jaden Blue, and he's had to handle some major adversity. We talked to him, Contravian Wisner post game, as Wisner really stepped into the lead role in the backfield, and they both cited Blue had to kind of reevaluate some things after he lost the starting role and started to work harder, started to change some things, and man, it showed today. He was really explosive, especially in the open field, and he was just one of the many guys that offense really started to get back on track.
All right, you were in there for post game. You heard from a lot of the guys. What were some of your takeaways?
Sark really confident after this one. Also complimented Quinn. One of the biggest takeaways from Sark was he was kind of asked by Cedric Golden of the Austin American Statesman just about game manager is usually like a negative term, but Quinn managed the game very well, and the way Sark was describing it, it kind of seemed like he was talking about that. And that's what Sark said about Quinn, is that he doesn't have to make the crazy play every time. He managed the game very well. He kind of shies away from that term because it has a negative connotation sometimes, but he referenced a guy like, not that he was comparing Quinn to Mac Jones, but he referenced Mac Jones, said all that guy did was finish second in the Heisman and win a national championship. So sometimes that's all it takes. And I thought Quinn wasn't perfect early on. He made some really good throws later. And what Steve Sarkisian noted that really has set Quinn apart is clearly from a distance you can tell the grasp he has on this offense. But he said a lot of those throws that look really easy to us, the swing routes, the quick one to Gunnar Helm, he said getting the ball out when it needs to get out and where it needs to be is really what separates Quinn. And that kind of makes you take a step back and say, he does make a lot of those throws look easy, but that's probably because he has such a good grasp of the offense, and it really showed here Saturday.
Yeah, he missed a couple. I think of the one to Bond over on the far side, and the defender had fallen down. He could run backwards in the end zone. But you think of the beautiful ball to DeAndre Moore. He juggles it, he catches it, but he's out of bounds. So those kind of evened out. But when I watch this offense today, I start realizing it doesn't always have to look the way we always think an offense should look. You know, first down, you run it for 4 yards, and then maybe you complete a pass or run it, and then you go over the top, or you go down the middle. They play a lot of perimeter offense. Sometimes it frustrates fans when they're getting tackled after a yard, but today's the reason why you hang with it.
Yeah, exactly. I was right at the half. I'm like, I can't believe this game is 35-0 at the half, because it didn't seem like they were just that dominant, but it was just a big play here, a big play there, and all of a sudden you look up, they were efficient when they needed to be, and it was complimentary that defense was playing well. That's a good way of putting it. It doesn't look like you would think a 35-0 score at the half would, but to get to where they did against an SEC team that we were talking about it earlier, yes, Florida was beat up, but they took Georgia to the brink in the second half a week ago, so that offense was very impressive. And one other guy that they wanted to shut out, or they talked about on offense, was Isaiah Bond. Having him back, man, the explosiveness he brings is incredible. And guys like Ryan Wingo, I think he caught, one pass today? That just shows the depth of this wide receiver room and the offense kind of as a whole.
I don't know if you guys heard from Quinn in the post game. We talked to him on the radio. You don't get a lot of emotion from the guy, but you know he feels good. He had 6 touchdowns and 4 picks in the 3 games after the interception today. 5 touchdowns and no picks. And obviously, you can talk about 3 phases. You can talk about it starts up front. You can talk about all that. You've got to have a quarterback, and he looks like now playing with a lot more confidence than maybe a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Sark said it's not just he thought Quinn played extremely efficient, which I think is probably the best word to describe how he played today. Also, he really complimented something he's done before, the game against Vanderbilt that Quinn Ewers played. It was just a couple of batted throws that were kind of went awry for Ewers and the Longhorns. He made the throws he needed to make. There was not a ton of misses. in the first couple of drives, there was a lot of time in the pocket. You know, we kind of have an isolated view. I don't know if it was not sacks, but like coverage plays from Florida, things like that. But man, yeah, he really settled in, and it is so clear how much he understands the offense, and he's able to anticipate so much more than he was in his first couple of years here with the Longhorns.
You mentioned batted balls, and it's time to let everyone know that Alfred Collins is a 5-1-2 guy, because there's so much talk about the 5-1-2 guys, the secondary. Yeah. Jahdae Barron, Michael Taff, and Andrew Makuba, all from Austin or Austin area.
Is he within city limits?
Yeah, his area code in Bastrop is 5-1. And I bring it up because he had 2 tip balls that turned into interceptions. And when we talked to him after the game, and he's a low-key guy, but what he said was that decision to come back, and clearly, I'm not sure what kind of draft stock he had last year, but now he does, and he talked about that being the best decision of his life, not just maybe to grow as a football player, but he talked about other things that we forget about with athletes and young men, and just kind of growing as a person.
Yeah, I mean, having him back is so big for this Texas team. It was clear what they lost, and I remember standing on the sideline watching last year Texas kind of go throughout the season, talking to the other media members, and just say, man, these Sweat and Murphy guys could be like first-round picks. Like, they are unbelievable. And I'm feeling the same thing with Alfred Collins this year. I don't know what the projections have, but, man, he has been the one guy that pretty much every game I've been to this year, he stood out. He's kind of jumped off the page defensively. Sark talked about that post-game as well, what he's able to bring. And he's so consistent, and he's able to disrupt the game running when the other team is running or throwing. So what a presence he is, and they're able to rotate so many guys. That's one of the other things Sark talked about, was he loves games like this because you can get a lot of guys in. Their defensive line rotation is outstanding with Alfred Collins, Vernon Broughton, who didn't even play in the first half in this one, Jermaine Lolay, Big Bill Norton, and then some of the younger guys like Sadir Mitchell, Alex January as well. So they have 6 or 7 guys in that room led by Alfred Collins that can really contribute and disrupt things for the opposition.
Collins, one of the Longhorns that was in Arkansas 3 years ago, Sark's first year. Jahdae Barron, was there any talk about turning the page to Arkansas?
Well, not necessarily the Arkansas game, but just this final stretch for the Longhorns. Sark said the message to the team was like, we're ready to go on a heater now. That's the words he used to talk to the team, or that's what they're trying to instill. But yeah, this Arkansas one, it's a really fun kind of final stretch here from the outside to watch this Texas team with Arkansas and A&M and everything that comes along with those renewed rivalries, and then senior week here against Kentucky. So it should be a fun final stretch, but that Arkansas one should be interesting. And I mean, trying to look at it, Texas's whole season, Taylon Green could be maybe the best quarterback Texas plays this year, because it was going to be Carson Beck, but he didn't play terribly well when Texas played Georgia. So this Texas defense, which has looked so good for almost the entire season, that could be an interesting test for them next week in Fayetteville.
Yeah, no doubt. He is electric, especially when he runs the ball. And, boy, you talk about a mystery team. They lock down Tennessee and upset them, and then they give up 63 at home to Ole Miss. They're open this week, so they'll have some time to get healthy. 11 a.m. in Fayetteville should be something else. The Longhorns go on the road and then come back home in 2 weeks for the last home game of the regular season. Might know that kick time against Kentucky on Monday. The networks might wait until a week out. But the Longhorns win it. Steve Sarkisian's 80th career coaching win, by the way, as they move to 8-1 on the season. For Noah, I'm Roger. Thanks for watching.